It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Concordina Irvine head women's basketball coach, Coach Christine Collins Kiernan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
I didn't even I was a high school coach for so long, and I actually really loved that level, and I really thrived at that level. And my husband, who I was coaching with at the time, he's the winningest high school coach in California right now for women's or girls basketball, just said like, you were built to do this at a even higher level. And he kept like pushing me to see things even bigger than what I saw them. And I got an opportunity and I took it. That's kind of how I got into college coaching.
Of course, what was your experience like getting to play and represent the Cal State Fullerton?
Um, I never even played for them. This is why I was saying how this was such a very small part of my career. When I went to a JC for 2 years, and all of the offers from that JC were out of state, and my dad had just got diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I tore my ACL my sophomore year. So I was just going to walk on at Cal State Fullerton. And during that process, it wasn't a great culture fit for me. And my husband, who was coaching, and his roommate at the time was a high school coach at another school, he told me, you were built to coach, you should really coach. So I reached out to this guy who was looking for a varsity assistant and a head JV coach. And I said, hey, I just have one deal breaker. Can my dad be my assistant coach on the JV team? And the guy said, yeah, no problem. And that was my last year I got with my dad. And I don't regret walking away from the game, because I spent every single day with him. And he's the one that really got me. He was a vice president for a big time company. And he taught me a lot growing up about managing people and how to be a good boss and how to like work with people at the level of what they're comfortable at. And that really transferred as he was my assistant coach that year. Because I cried after we lost the first time. I was so upset. I was like really hard-headed and strong-willed, and he was really good at helping me get to the next thing and seeing a bigger picture.
What was that like getting to coach on the high school level and coaching high school women's basketball?
I think I just started at such a young age, so it was that I remember the first year is just like, I'm Coach Collins, and I never let them call me Christine or by my first name, because we were only, especially when I took over at Troy with my husband, I was really 20 years old, so I wasn't that far off from some of them. In fact, most of those girls are some of my best friends now. And it was so amazing to be a part of really watch how girls can develop both emotionally, physically, socially. And it really prepared me to be where I am now. And I think the biggest part of all of that, like I say this all the time, coaching prepared me to be a really good parent, and being a parent prepared me to be a good coach.
Of course, what were some of your high school coaching accomplishments?
Well, when I was my very first job at Pacifica, like I had 7 girls on that team. We won a varsity tournament as a JV team. We won league and stuff like that. And I was a varsity assistant, and they had won league every year. We continued that. But then my husband now, he was coaching at a college level, and he started taking over at Troy High School. And when he got that job, he was doing both the college team and the high school team. And he said, hey, I knew you first, you need to come work with me. So I moved over to Troy with him. And I mean, we just got it rolling there. I don't even know. We won 3 state titles, 8 CIF championships, and then we went over to Mater Dei. And while I was Mater Dei, we got like 2 national championships there, 3 state championships. I mean, he still has more because he's still there. And then that's when I went from Mater Dei to Cal State Northridge. So like I was very successful coaching at the high school level, but a lot of it was the connection of the people and the talent we got there and then buying into it, but also like we had so much talent there and teaching them not to implode and like to use that talent for a greater good and not just themselves.
Of course, what was that transition like from you from going from high school coach to then a college coach?
I think like the biggest transition that first year was my high school team would have beat my college team. Like we went to Cal State Northridge, who had been really bad. I think they had only won 2 games in the 3 years prior till we got there. So we got there and they were not very good. And I came from a team that already had a girl committed to UConn, two girls committed to SC, a girl committed to Washington State, a girl committed to Stanford. Like, and our 6th and 7th man were committed to a Pac-12 team and a WCC team. So they were loaded there. And I was like, I remember calling my husband going, oh my gosh, our team would beat this team today. But I think like the hardest part from that was I still lived in Orange County and was commuting to Cal State Northridge. So that was like a 52-mile trip one way. So learning how to manage my time and still be a good wife and a great mom, I think that was the greatest challenge. But I think like the most interesting thing between the high school athlete and the college athlete was that the maturity level did jump up. It was interesting to see how much these kids changed when they didn't have their parents' voices in their ears all the time, and how they learned how to navigate like their relationships with each other instead of having their parents and adults consistently navigate those relationships.
Of course, while at Cal State Northridge, what were some of your biggest coaching accomplishments?
I think we flipped that program quickly, which was a huge thing. And we went to 3 NCAA tournaments. We won 3 conference tournaments. We had some really good players there. We got the type of kids that can change programs there. And I think that was saying a lot considering from what we walked into and the state of the program we walked into.
Of course, what was that transition like from being the assistant coach at Cal State Northridge to then becoming a head coach at Colleton?
Concordia. Well, I think like the biggest transition was I was never really thinking of myself of ever being a head coach. I was really good assistant coach, and I'd had a lot of practice being an assistant coach. But I think I started to see, I just started to see that a lot of people weren't coaching females the right way. I started to see like there was a lot of shame and quite frankly, misogyny within the coaching ranks and how they communicated to young athletes. And I just kind of said, there's got to be a better way. I have 3 daughters, all of them play basketball. And at the time when this was kind of like manifesting for me, I had a daughter in high school and I knew I wouldn't want her to come to the current place I was at. And I said, there's got to be a way that you can build a program where I'd feel good about my daughter going to that program. And I was just sitting there one day and someone sent me a text message that said, hey, Concordia of Irvine is open. You should go get that job. And I just kind of said to myself, I want that job. And my husband's like, yeah, go get that job. And I should not have gotten that job. They already had the person they wanted for that job. But, you know, sometimes the stars align, and I interviewed well and I got chosen for that job. And I kind of just hit the ground running. I mean, I walked into a program with 11 seniors and they weren't very good the 3 years previous. And we made the we were picked 9th, finished 3rd. And we made the tournament that year, and they learned a lot. And I learned a lot. It was like baptism by fire, they say, for both of us on both sides. And I got a really good coaching staff around me, and I hired for all my weaknesses. And we just worked really well together, and the girls worked incredibly hard.
Of course, what was that feeling like getting that job at Concordina Irvine and becoming the next head coach?
I think it was like the first time I did something really for myself, you know, like put myself out there and said, like, you're gonna test yourself in a way you've never tested yourself in a very long time, because I was so grounded in being a great mom and so grounded in like my being a wife and like being the good cop in every other program I'd been in, right? Like I'd been the one that they would come to when they didn't have someone to talk to and stuff. So like learning to be that balance of, you can still come to me, you can still come and talk to me, but the standards are still going to be the standards, you know, and I'm going to be holding up a mirror and and it was good. It was good for me and it was good for them. And I just learned a lot in the last 5 years. I've had a really good situation here. I just finished my 6th year. And I mean, I I had always hoped that there was a better way to build a program, and I'm consistently showing myself that there is.
What was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto that court as the head coach?
I think I was just so worried about not making a mistake and ruining the girls' opportunity to win. Like I didn't want to put them in a bad situation that I didn't even like hold it all in. Like, you know what I mean? Walking out there and thinking like, I'm kind of like not the person where I'm not the biggest part of what this is. Like, I think if you do this right, you surround yourself with the people that are a lot smarter than you and a lot better than you in some things. And then you just become the person that's really good at managing that. So like my assistant coaches are phenomenal. And quite frankly, they're really a lot better at me than a lot of things, but I'm good at just like being okay with that. And it makes the whole program work.
What's that experience like as a head coach getting to build that coaching staff and the players around you?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
What was that feeling like as a head coach getting to build the coaching staff and the players around you?
Um, like what I really love about my last 3 years is that figuring out who I am and who I work well with, and being able to control like who you bring around you has been amazing, you know. And I'm an extrovert. I have a lot of energy. My assistant coach is an introvert and she's a little bit more understated. And then my other assistant coach, he's very like studious and he's X's and O's and he's like very pragmatic and he really like observes before he talks. So like we all like that kind of energy balances out our whole like staff kind of deal. And then the girls are all fit in that way. Like I don't have a full team of extroverts, but I do have a full team of people that have great personalities that are actively engaged and are consistently about belonging. Like they're not trying to fit in, they're not trying to be somebody they're not. They're just like, this is who I am. I'm a little bit weird or I'm a little bit like off the beaten path, but like I love that about me and we all love that about each other. So I think like being able to really see this manifest has been so good. Like I love coming to work every day. It's really the highlight of my day is coming in, seeing all these like weird different people meshing, gelling and making it work. And when we say weird, we mean it as the biggest compliment. Like nobody on my team is too cool. And I think that that's like one of the best things about our program.
Of course, while at Concordia, what have been some of your biggest coaching accomplishments?
I think like just building this program from the bottom up. I didn't have any transfers in my first 2 years. I've really like gotten freshmen and like groomed them and taught them how to lead and taught them to believe in themselves and built a culture based upon that and then started bringing in other pieces to kind of fill gaps and holes. And I would say like some of the biggest accomplishments is we've had a couple transfers here that were really broken and just not sure if they even loved basketball anymore and not sure who they were or even if they valued themselves, and they've left here with a totally different view of that. One of the greatest accomplishments I've had here is we had a kid that had no offers my first year, and I told her, come here, you'll be freshman of the year. By the time you graduate, you're going to be on the All-American team, all these kind of things. And she did all of that. Like she had no offers. And right now she was the top scoring rookie and rebounder in Germany on a professional team. I just had my second kid sign a professional contract this year, which I think there's going to be another one who just got with an agent who's going to be close to that. So like I'm going to have 3 kids playing in the pros. We made the championship team or the championship game of our conference tournament this year for the first time in school history. I think like it's just been a work in progress where they've consistently trended up, and we've trended up with kids that have like believed in themselves and believed in Concordia.
Of course, as a coach, what has been how have you been able to build that culture at Concordia?
I think like culture is such an interesting word because people can say they have great culture, but it's not. Culture isn't what you say it is. It's how the group behaves and the behaviors of the group. And I think like just consistently pointing that out. like their behaviors, like, okay, this is your behavior, so this is kind of the culture you're saying you want here, and them being able to redirect or consistently push the culture that they do want. They have a lot of say. I don't know that many head coaches give their teams a lot of say, but I do give my teams a lot of say. Like, they do get the opportunity to grow and in the program, both leadership wise, X's and O's wise, and like just what they want, because they're the ones that have to walk in it every day. They're the ones that have to get up and practice at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're the ones that are making a lot of sacrifices. So I do give them a lot of say, and I think that that's been a big part of our culture.
Of course, what was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto the court for Concordina as the head coach?
I don't know that I even remember like what a feeling was like, to be honest with you. Like, I think I said it before, I was just a small part of this. I'm a small part of this like whole machine and everything. And I think I get more satisfaction in watching like the kids on my team do something big, or like a kid that doesn't play very much getting an opportunity to get on the floor and producing, because in our practices, nobody stands around. Everybody is always working. So we're all constantly improving. So when a kid gets an opportunity and they step into their moment and they produce, I think like that's probably like one of my biggest confidence boosters, are the things that I feel like, oh, I want to pat myself on the shoulder for that, because I prepped that kid to be ready. You know what I mean? And she just took it and ran with it.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you play each week?
Our conference is pretty loaded. We have a really good conference. We play Azusa, Point Loma, Viola. We play 3 teams in Hawaii. We play Dominican and Art Academy up north. We have some teams that are coming into our conference in the next couple years. So our conference is currently at 10, and I think it's going to be at 14 in 2 years.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams come to your home versus going away?
I think the biggest thing about the changes that I've made here is, when I got this program, we didn't have a lot of California kids or local kids, and now we have a ton. So we have so many families, friends, and fans here now because the community is very invested in our program. I have like 4 girls from out of state, and because we have so many California kids, they really do feel like they have a home away from home because they're so taken care of. We have such a strong family base, especially where they all sit where they're going to sit, and they all sit together and they cheer together, and they're diehards, man. We have so many people that travel. We travel well, so we have so many people that travel with us. When we went to Hawaii, we have usually more fans than the Hawaii teams do because we travel so well. So I think our atmosphere is really good.
Of course, what is that like? Obviously, playing some of those teams in the California area, but then getting to travel and playing teams like in Hawaii and other areas.
I think it's really good that we have the conference we do have, because it doesn't affect the girls' school schedule as much. And I think that's super important, because like our team GPA hovers right around 3.5. And those are just things that are important to me in my program. So like being able to have these games in California really help that. And then being able to get those trips away to the Bay Area are really nice, because then we can take them to different places there. Like this year we went to Alcatraz for the first time, and it was like my first time ever being to Alcatraz, and it was every one of our girls' first time. And that was kind of like a cool little thing to kind of do. We've done like, everybody does the Golden Gate Bridge and things like that. So, and then just going to Hawaii, for a lot of those kids, it might be the only time they ever get to Hawaii. And so we make a big deal of it. Like, yeah, we're there for a business trip, but we're also there to play. And as much as I'm really big on, if you work really hard for us, we're going to play really hard in the process. So we work really hard and we play really hard, because at the end of the day, they don't, like 5 or 6 years from now, most of the girls aren't going to remember our record. They're not going to remember what championship game we won or we're in, but they are going to remember that snorkeling trip in Hawaii. They are going to remember that snowstorm in Idaho. They are going to remember like going to Alcatraz and getting a little spooked out because it was cloudy and rainy and stuff that day. So like, I'm chase the remember wins, but in order to chase the remember wins, they also know we have to work really hard to be successful at our job.
What is that home game atmosphere like at Concordina Irvine?
It's a really good atmosphere. I mean, we have a lot of fans. We have a great support. Our school is 42% athletes, so we have 22 sports here. So we have a lot of like-minded kids on our campus that do a good job of supporting each other.
What are some of your game day routines and rituals like as a head coach?
I think all my girls would laugh because I'm probably one of the most superstitious people in the history of ever. I have to wear a lucky outfit. I have to hope I have a really good hair day. I have to write on the board exactly the same way before every single game. I have to listen to a certain playlist before every single game. I have to pray a certain way before every single game. I can't slap anybody's hand before we go out to the court. I mean, it's just, I'm insane. I know it, they know it, but it works for me. And it's just like the worst feeling ever of one of my rituals get messed up. And I have to try and like, okay, well, that got messed up. So like, I've got to try and like make it up over here. But yeah.
Of course, what does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate women's basketball?
I do go out and see a lot of players. That's a big thing for me. I have to see you live. I'm not very good at signing people off of film because I don't do highlight films. I do it to catch my attention, and then I want to go see you play live. I have an elite camp that's been very successful, and I've signed a lot of kids out of my elite camp because anybody that makes the effort to come to my elite camp is usually pretty serious about wanting to play here. And that has a lot of hold for me. But then I also get to see how they learn. I get to see their personalities. I get to have like a more hands-on approach with them, which is good for me because like everybody usually that's going to play at the college level is talented. That's just a given. I really want to see what your personality is, your reaction to failure, and how you learn. Those are three big things for me.
Of course, as a head coach, what are some of the things that you look at when players go to your elite camps or you go out on the road recruiting?
I think like communication is a huge thing. I'm a talker. We're talkers on the floor. You've got to be able to talk, communicate, work through things. How you react to failure is a really good thing. I think failure is a great thing. I think it shows like what your next level of development is going to be. Like just your engagement with your teammates, how hard you go, are you gritty, do you get after it, do you never quit, all those kind of things. And I think like it's so funny because all of those are controllable. Not a single one of those do you have to hope that talent plays through, like every single one of those things are a controllable thing.
What does that official visit look like for those prospective student athletes coming to Accordion?
Like I'm a big thing, I'm going to recruit you like I'm going to coach you. So like I don't do the whole like name on the back of the jersey. I don't do like, I don't know, I don't do things that are crazy here. We hang out, you're going to get to know me, you're going to get to know my team. We're going to have meals, we're going to do probably a lip sync, we're going to do things, we're going to get a little weird, a little bit crazy together. You're going to watch a practice, you're going to see how hard we go, but the main thing is we're going to be together because that's how we spend the majority of our time. And I just got to know that you're going to fit into that.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on their jersey for the first time versus the seniors putting it on for the last time?
It's funny because like I'm probably different than most college coaches where I believe the success of a player is going to be parents and I being on the same page. And I don't know if it's because I am a parent and I have a daughter on the team too. So I know how special, as much as that's special for the kid, it's just as special for the parent, and when my daughter scored her first collegiate basket, I got tears in my eyes. So I can really understand how like it is from the parent perspective, right? So I know whenever a freshman does a big thing, the first thing I do after a game or whatever, or after a practice, if she's had a really good practice, is I'll text the parents and be like, oh, wow, did you see that? Or I'll send them a clip from practice and being like, look at where she's going. So I think like watching a freshman like start to stockpile skill and both leadership wise and athletic wise is really special. I think these last 2 years have been really hard because I've lost like 3 big time kids who've been with me for five years because of COVID. And they've basically changed Concordia. And the 3 of them are very much like I would consider daughters and like people I'll know for the rest of my life. So it was really hard watching these last these last time putting the jerseys on, you know.
What is that moment like, getting to share that moment with your daughter, coaching her and getting to see her accomplishments?
I think it's been awesome. You know, I think it's been one of my greatest things in my life is coaching her because she makes it easy. She's a great teammate. She goes really hard. She doesn't try and stand out in terms of in a bad way, you know. She'll go through a wall for her teammates and she'll go through a wall for her coaching staff. But it's been fun to spend every single day with her. I think like most parents would die for that opportunity for their kids not to go away to college, you know. She lives here on campus. She doesn't live with us at home, but it's still nice that I get to see her every day in some type, you know, in some way. You know, I give her a lot of her privacy and a lot of room to be her own person. She's really opened up here, but it's been really nice to still be able to have this special relationship with her.
Of course, as a coach, what is it like seeing your seniors after their senior year go on into coaching, either coaching or playing professionally?
I mean, not even just coaching, but being who they envisioned they were going to be. Like, a big thing here is like knowing knowing why you know what you know, and also like knowing what you want to do, like having a purpose. And we talk about internships and things like that a lot. We have a girl that's going to be a doctor here pretty soon. We have a girl that's about to get her PhD. But we have girls that are doing a lot of great things in life, and I think as I watch them start to manifest their talents in different areas, it's been rad. You know, it's social media is such a bad thing, but it's also such a great thing, because as much as I don't have to like chase them down to always like have a conversation to see where they're at, because I'm seeing all their wins pile up on social media a lot of times, and the amount that come back to share it and come to a game and talk to the girls. And yeah, it's pretty neat.
Of course, as a coach, what's it like seeing those players go on and play professionally, whether it's overseas or Athletes Unlimited or even the WNBA?
Um, well, I think like being a lot of that is a big dream, right? A lot of girls that do play professionally, it's something they've dreamed about since they were little. And it's pretty cool to see them have something happen for them that they didn't even think was going to happen, especially playing at the Division 2 level. A lot of kids think like, oh, if you go Division 2, you'll probably never make pro. But that's not true. Like we've got 3 that are playing going to be playing this coming year. It's cool. I mean, it's cool for them. They're living a totally different life. They're traveling. They're doing a lot of great things. I have a couple kids that I've coached from the high school level that are playing in the WNBA, and I have younger daughters too that really look up to them, and going to those games live and watching them out there as professional athletes. Like little eyes are always watching, and representation matters, right? Like that's a big thing that's going on out there. Representation matters. So my daughter's being able to see that happen and know, you know, it's been pretty cool.
What has that been like, obviously getting to see those players go on and getting to coaching and take some of the things that you've taught them over to their coaching career?
I do have a lot of girls that are coaching, whether it be at the youth level or have now gone to the high school level. And, you know, we have a couple in the college level. There's like things that I do before every game. A girl gets a motivational card for me that has a quote on the front, and on the back, it's a message, a handwritten message from me of what they need to focus on for that game. And it's amazing. Like that's been one thing. And I've been doing that since I was a high school coach, how these girls like save those cards for all their years. And then they'll still like have them and they'll say, oh my gosh, this made such an impact on me. And the ones that are coaching that will take that with them, you know, or they'll say, the ones that want to be a coach because they finally had somebody that just sat there and listened, and like it was more about wins and losses, you know, it was about building a person and them doing that. So it's good, because I don't think that this is a business that's conducive to women. And in my conference alone, there's only 3 women coaches, and only 2 of us. Well, we have a team that's coming in this year and she's a mom, so there's only going to be 2 of us that are moms. So I'm a mom of 4, she's a mom of 1. So it just shows like how this isn't a business that's built for that. because a lot of people get pushed out of it because they don't think that we can still be successful in both areas. So that's a big reason why I do what I do, to show these young girls, like, you can still be a great mom, you can be a phenomenal wife, and you can also be a boss lady. You just got to learn time management, life balance, and really know to be present where your feet are.
Of course, what are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
I just to keep building, like, we're getting there. It's been brick by brick, but I mean, like, I want to keep making this a place where everybody does their homework and says, like, that's somebody that's going to fight for you, and that's somebody that's going to love you, and that's a place I want to be, and that's the biggest part of being a program like that.
What advice would you have those freshmen that are entering their first year of collegiate women's basketball?
I think, like, like, my freshman class this year ran into this. They weren't prepared. They weren't ready emotionally, they weren't ready physically, and that mentality it takes to compete at this level is so different from high school. So I would say really talk to and get to know your teammates ahead of time before you walk on campus. Whatever got you to this level isn't going to keep you there. You got to now level up again. And I think that's what the one thing that most freshmen forget. Like, I'm here, I've arrived, but that only got you here. Now, what's going to keep you there or get you to the next thing? And you got to keep, like, having goals, and you need to keep, like, have things that you're aspiring to. Like, really invest in mobility, invest in your body, and learn how to take care of it, whether it be what you eat, you drink, and how you move it.
What advice would you give those collegiate athletes that are looking to play professionally, whether it's the WNBA or overseas?
I think a big thing is, like, understanding the difference of how it's going to be living there. Like, living overseas is kind of lonely. There's not a lot of Americans there. Your time zone is different from your people's time zone. You're going to have to really work to stay in communication with them. You're going to have to be good at being with you. And you're going to have to be your best trainer. You're going to have to be the one that's getting yourself into the gym. You're going to have to be the one that's taking care of your body. You're going to have to be the one that's going to be, like, there's so much accountability. If you don't produce, you're coming home. So you have to be ready for that pressure, but you also have to be ready to understand and enjoy the newness around you, like diving into a new culture, and, like, you might never get an opportunity like that again. So go ahead and, like, live it,
What advice would you give those college athletes looking to transition from being collegiate players to getting into coaching?
That's a great one. I think, like, having a little bit of a network, and, like, investing in that network and reaching out and, like, talking to other coaches, working other elite camps, just showing these, like, at different levels. And, like, the more people that are advocating for you and being like, hey, Christine, she's awesome, she works hard, she has a great personality, all these kind of things, like, this is somebody you would want on staff. So, like, the one thing about, I always tell the girls, like, I'm a little bit of a unicorn because I've been in the same place or the same general area for much of my coaching career. That's not really the way things are. Coaching's kind of nomadic, right? Like, a lot of people are going all over the place and stuff like that. But the more people that have you on a short list of, like, oh my, that's somebody that's going to be good at this job, or it's going to be really someone that's going to be loyal and things like that. The more people you have thinking of you that way, the better chance you're going to have to jump into that level.
What advice would you give those assistant coaches looking to make that jump from being an assistant to a head coach?
Make sure that you work with someone that sees you as working with them, not for them, I think is a big thing. Someone that allows you to grow in the things that you want to grow in. Being able to have some say in the current program that you're in. And, like, just, like, networking, and figuring out, like, when you do get that opportunity. Like, I was a head assistant coach for so long, but I had so much say in the programs I was at that I was ready, when you do get that opportunity, you just want to know you're ready. And as I was, like, even an assistant coach, I was building a book. If I was ever a head coach, this is what I would do. And it had, like, things from the gear I would order and how I would design it, to the offenses I would run, the practices I would design, the individual player workouts I would do. It's like I already kind of had, like, a I guess you would just say like a program ready to go, and did I stick to all that stuff? No, not really. There's a lot of things that I changed and threw out, but at least I had like a baseline, and I knew that like it took like a lot of time thinking about things, and it was all going to be development.
What advice would you give those future head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, we're at this point, if you're a head coach and I'm a head coach, like we're all figuring it out, at the same type of level. And who's to say that I have a better answer than what somebody else is? Like, I know what works for me. I have no idea what's going to work for somebody else. Like, I think it's all personality based and experience based. And I think everybody's personality and experiences are so individualized. So
What advice would you give those coaches that are also mothers that are coaching in college?
I would say like be present where your feet are. Like I think a big thing is your children are forever, and this job is very short term. And like this job, if I always think if I'll land on my feet no matter what. Like I've got enough skills to do so. If coaching isn't for me, then I have enough other skills that I can turn it into something else, right? My job isn't the end all be all. Being a mom is my end all be all, but I'm gonna work my butt off when I'm with my job, and I don't leave any T's uncrossed or I's undotted, right? But my whole life is those kids, and I think like being able to bring the both of them together, whether they're part of your practices, whether they're part of your travel, them just watching you do big time things is really kind of like shows them they're going to do big time things too. But I don't ever put the job before my kids, and I think that that's a big time thing, and I think your athletes seeing that is important too.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the team at?
I have my own Twitter and my own Instagram. And then our team has TikTok, and everything goes either Concordia Women's Basketball or CUI WBB. We have a TikTok, we have a Be Real, we have Instagram, we have Twitter. We're kind of like all out there and stuff. That's one thing I think our staff does a good job, is keeping our social media up to date, and it really showcases our team's personality.
Thank you again, Coach Christine Collins, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at Concordina Irvine as the head women's basketball coach.
Thank you so much. You have a great day, Brandon.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Christine, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.